Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you all online. To those of you on Zoom, and those of you on Facebook Live, and those of you who are going to be watching this at a later point in time. Good morning, good morning. I'm out, as you can see, not in my regular office space. And but comes 10 o'clock on Wednesday, you got to start schnorring for office space. Can I borrow your office? Can I sit in your office? I've got a 10 o'clock Zoom call. I can't miss this opportunity. So I've schnorred another office here, and comfortable space, light coming through the window, which is fantastic. And thank you all for joining us for another session of Practical Parsha, turning a brand new leaf. Isn't that something we would all love to do from time to time? Just start a brand new leaf. Get rid of the past, clean slate, a new beginning. I think we feel like that a little bit after this COVID chaos, is to just start again, start fresh. That's our approach in communal work. It's our approach in families, in business, just to start fresh, take a new leaf. So that's going to be the discussion of today. At what points, how can we start a new leaf? How can we begin from fresh? And what's interesting is that the Talmud gives us a lesson or an instruction as to when you can start a new leaf. It says that 3 people can start a new leaf in their lives. Who are they? The first is upon a wedding. A bride and groom who gets married can start a new leaf. We forgive all brides and grooms for their sins. The second is one who, give me a moment here. Give me a second. The second is a leader, one who steps up to a leadership role, is also forgiven for his sins. And the third is a great sage. We're going to focus on the marriage one for now. We'll start with this. We'll see how we go. But as we said, a bride and groom on their marriage day is forgiven for their sins. That's one of the reasons why they fast on their chuppah day. It's like a mini Yom Kippur for them. It's a day of Tehillim, a day of Psalms, a day of prayer. It's a serious time for bride and groom. They shouldn't waste their time in the morning or afternoon, early afternoon, wasting their time on nonsense. Let all the other family members worry about all the logistics. The bride and groom should be focused because it's a day of forgiveness for them. It's a day of Yom Kippur for them. In fact, that's one of the reasons why a chatan wears a kittel on Yom Kippur, on the wedding day, under the chuppah, many do, is because it's a mini Yom Kippur. So just like on Yom Kippur, we wear clothing of white, so too we do the same on a wedding day too. Now, where do we get this from? Where is the source that a wedding day is a day of forgiveness, a clean slate, a new leaf for a bride and groom? Where's it from? It's actually from this week's Torah portion. This week, we learn about 3 weddings in this week's Parsha. We learn about the wedding of Isaac and Rebekah, which starts off the journey of Yitzchak and Rivka, although it started last week already, but right at the end. But this week we start with Yitzchak and Rivka, their marriage. We learn about the marriage of Yaakov going to find a wife to Haran. And there he looks for Rachel and Leah, Bilhah and Zilpah. So we actually don't learn about the marriage of Yaakov just yet. It's just the beginning as he journeys to Haran to find a wife. That's the second topic we learn about in terms of marriage. And the third is the marriage of Esau, marrying Ishmael's daughter. So he too keeps it in the family. He marries his father's half-brother, or a cousin, should I say. He marries Ishmael's daughter. Those are 3 weddings or 3 themes of marriage that we discuss. Yitzchak and Rivka, rebounding of last week. Yaakov running to Haran. To find a wife. And Esau marrying Ishmael. And guess what? Whose wedding do we learn from that a bride and groom are forgiven on their wedding day? Ironically, you won't believe this, but actually Esau is the source of this. not Yitzchak and Rivka, not Jacob, Yaakov and his wives, but in fact we learn it from Esav, that all grooms and brides marrying on their day of their wedding can start a new, clean slate. Where do we get that from? So the verse says that what happened? As Esav and Yaakov fought over the brachas of the blessings of their father Isaac, and suddenly Isaac realized that he blessed the wrong child. He blessed Yaakov instead of blessing Esav. Yaakov then realizes that Esav is burning with anger. So Yaakov has to run away. So Yitzchak gives him blessings. He says, travel to Haran, and there you should find a wife from the family, right? Living in Haran, the cousins living in Haran. Esav hears this, and Esav says, well, I too better get married, because for so many years he was playing around, acting immorally, unethically. But now I see that my father really wants my brother to settle down and to marry a family member of ours. I too am going to settle down as well. And he marries Machalat. Machalat is her name. Machalat bat Yishmael ben Avraham. That's what it says. But interestingly, the verse, the commentaries ask the question, hold on, Esav did not have a daughter called, Yishmael did not have a daughter called Machalat. Where did this name Machalat come from? That wasn't the name of this girl. The daughter of Yishmael was actually called Basmat. Okay, not Machalat, but rather Basmat. Where did the name Machalat come from? Says the Talmud, the Gemara says, that the Torah uses the name Machalat to teach us this lesson of turning a new leaf. Why? Because the word Machalat comes from the word Mechila. Mechila means forgiveness. So we changed the bride's name intentionally in order to teach us that when a chassan and kala, bride and groom, get married, they're forgiven. How do you know they're forgiven? Because this girl's name becomes Machalat from the word Mechila, forgiveness, to teach us that a bride and groom who get married are actually forgiven. Mechila. Interesting, hey? We changed her name just in order to teach us this law, this din. Now, it's interesting why Esav, out of all of the 3 weddings we're discussing this week, and all the weddings throughout Torah, there's so many other beautiful, holy weddings that God could have chosen as the Parsha to teach us the new leaf that we turn at the time of a wedding. Why would you select Esav, marrying Ishmael's daughter, Basmat, called Machalat? Why would you choose that as the theme of forgiveness? Well, we know that Esav was really an immoral individual. Really an immoral individual who the Torah talks about comparing him to a chazer, comparing him to a pig, to a swine, who has split hooves, so shows the world that he's kosher, but really deep within doesn't chew its cud, meaning it's not refined inside. That was Esav. He was a hunter. He was bloodthirsty on the inside. On the outside, he had his split hooves. He looked all holy. He justified to his father that he was righteous when he really wasn't. He was involved in the wrong type of communities, the wrong type of activities. It says that it's not a surprise that he went to the family of Ishmael. Why did Esav marry Ishmael? Because that was his type. Ishmael was also a hunter. And so Esav marries into Ishmael's family. So it's not ideal. Not ideal at all. So that only increases the question. Why would we use him as the prototype of a husband and wife, of a bride and groom, to describe the beauty and the new, clean, fresh slate of a chas and kala? And the answer is specifically him. Why would we choose someone, a couple, our forefathers, our matriarchs, who are holy and spiritual? And what? And they're going to teach us how to start a new slate? We don't need to learn how to start a new slate from the righteous leaders. and the righteous matriarchs and patriarchs. We need to learn how to start a new slate from someone like Esau, someone who is corrupt, someone who is misbehaved, someone who's not the ideal image of a righteous tzaddik. This is specifically where we need to learn how such an individual can start a new clean slate. Yes, even a Russia, even someone so wicked like Esau can start a new slate by doing something that's holy and godly driven, i.e. a marriage, such as a wedding, as Esau did, together with Mochalat. We are learning this week Parsha's Toldos. That's the name of the Parsha. Toldot means offspring, right? It means continuity. It means bringing children to the world. Pru uruvu, multiply and increase. And the moment Esau decided to marry, because until then he was roaming around freely with no sense of commitment and no sense of family and no sense of home. As soon as Esau decided that he wants to settle down, as soon as Esau decided that he's going to marry and have children and build a family, God says, now you deserve to start a new slate, to start a new leaf, because you have now committed yourself to bringing continuity to the world. And yes, Esau wasn't part of Yaakov's family, and Esau's family weren't as holy as Yaakov's family were, but the mere fact that Esau decided to marry and to settle down and to have a family, that was a reason to bring about mechila, mochlat, to bring about mechila and forgiveness to him. And there's a powerful lesson there, is that everyone has the chance to start a new slate, to start a new beginning. Everyone. You don't have to be a tzaddik, a righteous patriarch or matriarch to be forgiven. Even Esau. That's why we highlight this wedding as a prototype. Even Esau can do that, as long as he decides to give of himself to someone else, to his spouse, to his family. If you're willing to fulfill that mitzvah of marriage, to fulfill that mitzvah of building a new home, of sharing yourself with someone else, with your spouse, with your children, for that you deserve mechila, forgiveness, and the opportunity to start a new clean slate. Now, when we talk about children or toldot, we don't always talk about biological children. We also talk about spiritual children. We see that in the context of Moshe Rabbeinu. It says that Aharon's children, later on in the Torah, Aharon's children are described as the sons of Moshe. They're not Moshe's children, they were Aaron's children. And because Moshe taught them, therefore he became their father, spiritual father. They became his children. So when we talk about Pru Uruvu, multiplying and increasing, we talk about Toldot, having children, we talk about Esau and Mochalat, building a family and creating the continuity. It doesn't just mean the literal, physical, biological children, but it also has context to mitzvot, to good deeds, to encouraging others, to sharing the light, showing the love, inspiring others to join along in the Jewish way of life. And that may be through chesed and kindness. When you invite your friend to come along with me as we go help so and so and so and so. Or come along with me as we go to Yad Aharon to help pack packages for chesed in the community. That could be one way of creating children or offspring or inspiring others to do chesed. And the same thing can be with shul and tefillah and prayer. Come along with me to shul because we want to daven together. I don't want to go alone. Come with me. And you inspire someone to daven with you or to learn and attend a shir, like on Zoom or Facebook like this. Come along, tune in as well. The moment we do that, we're already creating children. We're already spreading the love. We're already including others. And what does God tell us? God says, at the moment you do that, the moment you do what Esau did, the moment you settle down, you marry, you connect to somebody else, you have children, you share the love and inspiration with someone else, and it may be in the spiritual sense, not necessarily in the biological sense. Just by doing that, you deserve mochalat, mechila, a new slate, a new beginning, fresh start. Now, this is a powerful point because so many times when I speak to people about sharing the love with others or inviting them to come join you to shul or attend a shir or do something together with you, the response I often get is, Rabbi, I'm not the appropriate one to do so. Why aren't you the appropriate one? Because I'm not really perfect myself. I'm imperfect. I have shortfalls. So how can I be the one to spread the inspiration? How can I be one to invite my friends, the family to join me along? I need someone like you, Rabbi. Someone who's more the image of holiness, or the image of Torah. You're the right person to inspire my friends. But me, who am I after all? I'm imperfect. I've got lots of shortfalls. I can't be the one to inspire another. Well, one of the lessons we can take away from this is that's not true. Even Esav started a new slate. Even Esav had a clean beginning when he married Mochlat. Mechila, he was forgiven. He was given the chance to do what he needed to do to build a family with a new, fresh start. And so it is with us. The Torah is telling us we too can be like Esav. We may think that we're not capable. We may think that we have shortfalls. And therefore, I'm not the person to go ahead and inspire someone. I'm not the person to push an agenda of Torah and Judaism because I have my own shortfalls. No, says the Torah. Esav can be forgiven and I can be forgiven. You can be forgiven. We don't need to be perfect in order to share the message and inspiration of Torah to the world or to our family. Just the mere fact that I want to share the love with someone else and I want to pass on inspiration to someone else, that itself gives me the right to start a new slate, to start a new beginning. And it's actually true, because the moment you take on the responsibility of sharing with someone else, you actually change in that process. You become much more responsible for your behavior, because you know that other people are looking at you. And you know that you've inspired others. So if you can inspire others, surely you better improve your ways too, right? So the moment we start to do that and we share that love with others, what happened to Esav happens to us. We start a new clean slate. The Rebbe told this to many of his shluchim. We just this past weekend was the Kinus HaShluchim, the gathering, the famous gathering in New York by 770, the Rebbe's Shul, where many thousands, despite Corona hurdles and obstacles, many thousands of Shluchim gathered this past weekend in New York by 770 at the Rebbe's Shul for the Kinus HaShluchim, the gathering of Shluchim worldwide. And many times, Shluchim felt they were incapable. They weren't the right people to take up a job. The Rebbe would often ask them, would you be willing to go to this particular country, this particular town, this particular city? And many times they looked at themselves and they said, who am I? How can I do this? I'm not holy. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a role model. How can I take on the responsibility of sharing and teaching? And the Rebbe would often tell them that this is your chance to start a new clean slate. The moment you choose to share the love, share the inspiration with others, you become automatically that teacher, that educator. It's the well-known debate. Does the man make the position, or does the position make the man? Right? What makes us into who we are? Well, here we're saying that the marriage, the position makes the person. The moment Esav and Mochlat married, that made them into responsible individuals who started from scratch. Whether Esav continued on that way or not, that's to be debated. Whether Esav actually remained faithful and loyal to the ways of his forefathers. That's another question. But nonetheless, he had a clean slate. So the Rebbe would tell that to his shluchim. Don't worry about where you've been till now. Don't worry if you feel incapable. The moment you step up to share the love, share the inspiration, automatically you'll start a new slate, a new clean slate. Which is why, and it makes sense now, why the other category, or the second category of those who are forgiven for their sins, is actually the Nasi, or the leader, one who steps up to a new role of a leader, is forgiven for. We actually see this by Shaul HaMelech, King Saul. At the moment he became a king, he was forgiven for his sins. Now, why is that? Why is a leader also forgiven for his sins? In fact, I must be honest, when I accepted the new role as the rabbi of the community at Sydenham, one of the wishes I received was this. They told me, if you're stepping up to a new role of responsibility, a new role of leadership, then all your sins and all your past wrongdoings or shortfalls are forgiven. That was the bracha I received. May your sins of the past be forgiven, and may you merit to start a new clean slate, because you're fulfilling what the Talmud says, that one who steps up to a new role of leadership, we forgive them for their sins. And a role of leadership can be in any capacity. So why is it that a leader who steps up to a new role, why is it that, and that happens, by the way, in a way of a sage, in a Torah teacher or rabbi, as well as in a way of a nasi, which is more of a political position, actually. Why is it that these two individuals have their sins forgiven for? And the same answer is clear. What's the common denominator between the chas and kala, the bride and groom, as well as these leaders, the chacham, the teacher, or the nasi, the political leader? What is the common denominator? The common denominator is the want to give and help someone else. The moment a chassan, a bride or groom, says, I want to help someone else, I want to love someone else, I want to build a family, says the Torah, right, because you're giving of yourself to help, we're going to start on a clean slate, and you can start all from fresh, because you're giving of yourself to help others. The same thing is said with regards to the rabbi or the leader, is the same. If you give of yourself to communal affairs, if you give of yourself to others to procreate spiritually or figuratively, there too you deserve mechila, the forgiveness, the opportunity to start from scratch, start from a clean slate. All past wrongdoings can be forgotten, which is interesting because society don't forget so quickly. You know, when a politician is voted in and the politician has some wrongdoings of the past, oh boy, the media and the news reports are very quick to highlight in big headlines. 20 years ago, this guy did that, and 10 years ago, he did that. And suddenly they expose all the schmutz and all the wrongdoings that this particular individual has done. Interestingly, Torah takes a different approach to it. Torah says that's okay, but because he's done teshuvah, because he's repented, because he or she has committed themselves to a new lifestyle, a lifestyle of helping others, what was. We're now focusing on the future. It's very different to the mentality of today. The mentality of today doesn't forget, society doesn't forget so quickly. We dig up news clippings and news headings. But Torah says, no, mechila, you stepped up to a new role, you deserve the forgiveness of it. It was actually at the time when President Shazar was appointed, it was in 1963, and the second president of Israel, Yitzchak ben Tzvi, passed away, and the prime minister at the time, David Ben Gurion, came to member of the Knesset, whose name was Zalman Shazar. He was actually from a religious home, from a Chabad family. And he said, I suggest that you put your name forward to apply for the role of presidency. And when Shazar said, why me? Ben Gurion said, because a leader must have the image of a traditional Jew. And you look like, he used to walk around with his up-top hat and his suit. You look like a traditional Jew. So therefore, you're the appropriate one to be the president of Israel. In fact, on May 21st, 1963, he was elected as Israel's third president. It was just after that the Rebbe spoke at a Farbrengen, and he mentioned Zalman Shazar's appointment as president of Israel, and he quoted the Talmud. And he said, someone who's appointed to a position of leadership, all their sins of the past are forgiven for. And that was the wish that he gave the new president, that he wished him that you should start a new clean slate, a new beginning, and you should be successful. And he said to him as follows, despite the unique challenges that a leader faces, may God give him the strength to overcome all obstacles and tests that will come his way. May he use the opportunities that he has now for future strengthening of Torah and traditional Judaism, etc., etc. So the Rebbe actually used this blessing in the context of the president's appointment, President Shazar, to wish him well and say, whatever was in the past, it was in the past. You've now got a new clean slate. So to wrap up and to summarize, we learn this from Esav's marriage, but not only for marriage, obviously for marriage too. When you marry husband and wife, it's a new clean slate, a new beginning. You ask Hashem to take away whatever the past, sins or confusion or upsets or shortfalls, and you want to start fresh, a new start, a new family, a new home. But the same can be said in other areas of giving. When someone takes the role on as an educator, as a teacher, that's a chance to inspire others. Forgiven. Your past is forgiven. Shortfalls are forgiven. You're giving of yourself. A leader, a teacher, an educator. So maybe the lesson is we shouldn't hold on to the past. If someone's shown that they're actually sincere to move on, to grow, to help others, Torah's message is mechilin, mechila, mochalin lo, we forgive them. We allow them to start a new clean slate. That's the message. So please God, we should continue to grow our families, children, literally speaking, but as well as spiritually speaking. Share the love, share the inspiration. Don't feel you're incompetent, because even Esav was forgiven for wrongdoings. We too can be forgiven for wrongdoings, and God says, I want you to be my man. I want you to be my woman. Share the love, share the inspiration, and I'll forgive you for the past. You'll be able to start a new clean slate and have lots of success in your future endeavors. Thank you all for joining us for another session of Practical Parsha. Those of you on Zoom, stick around for a moment. Have a wonderful week ahead. We'll be back here Wednesday morning, not necessarily in this office again, but Wednesday morning, 10 o'clock next week. Take care.